Well, hello and welcome to India Ideas. This is the show which is all about science and tech innovation and entrepreneurship. I'm Gautam Roy, and today we're talking about the role of women in tech and innovation in India in the context of the International Women's Day, which has just gone by. It's a mixed bag, really. While a report says 16.7% of India's top 150 funded startups had female founders or co founders in 2020, the figure stood at 10% for 2017. So there's a jump there. But at the same time, another report says funded startups with at least one female co founder went down to 12% in 2019 from 17% in 2018. So where do we really stand? And where the question of gender diversity is concerned in our country, and what does the road ahead really look like? We are here to talk about that today, and with us Jaya Shukla, founder Tushions, which makes eco-friendly reusable cloth diapers and other female and environment-friendly products. Jyotsna Uttam Chandani is also with us, Executive Director, Siska Group, which has become synonymous with lighting solutions in the country, but is much more than that. We'll talk about that too. And we have Preeti Sehal with us as well. She's Senior Specialist Niti Aayog, which is Indian government's think tank, premier think tank, and has been driving policies, programs, and schemes to increase the role of women in tech and innovation and practically in every other sphere of life in the country as well. But first, to you, Jaya, because I believe your venture was literally born out of your entire pregnancy experience. Just tell us a little bit more about that first.
Yeah, so basically, Tushion started with my journey as a mom. So my kid was born, I started using reusable diapers for the baby. And at one point, we realized that we were disposing so many of those diapers every day. We were using around 20 diapers a day, and we had to buy a new dustbin to dispose those diapers. And that's when we realized there's definitely something that we are doing
wrong. Those who become parents.
Yeah. Correct. So, and that's when, but I did not want to go to nappies, and it gets very messy and very difficult to manage as a new mom. You're already tired and exhausted with sleep deprived, and on top of that, taking care of this itself was very difficult. So while I was talking to a friend of mine, she told me about there's something called as modern cloth diapers. I was surprised. I was like, no, there's nothing like that can exist. She's like, no, it's cloth, but the baby feels dry and it does not leak. I was like, how is that possible? And then I purchased a set myself and started using it. And I was like, wow, it actually works. In India, who do not know about it. So Tushions was basically born as an idea to create awareness about reusable cloth diapers here in India. And we initially started off being retailing the brands from US and the other parts of the world. But then we realized those were quite expensive. I mean, spending 2,500 rupees for one diaper was very difficult to justify. Yes. Even though, I mean, the environmental impact is much better, but then again, spending so much for a diaper was prohibitive. We looked at some Chinese options, but they weren't cutting it. The quality was really bad. That's when we started working on our own design. We made our own design when we started working with with the Chinese companies to help us manufacture it, because we did not have that kind of scale. And then we started, and people just loved that brand. So we renamed it Green Diapers, and it was the top selling brand on Amazon. People really loved it. So over the years, we have sold diapers to each and every corner of India. In fact, last year, then because of the COVID and the situation, lockdowns, we ran into a bit of problems, a lot of supply issues and stuff. And that's when we realized that, okay, for a long time, we have been planning to make these diapers in India. Why not do that? Okay. So we were initially facing problems of the skilled labor, tailor and stuff. And so what we did is we also realized that during the lockdown, a lot of these tailors had lost their jobs. So we took a few of them in, we trained them for 3 months, and then we got a perfect diaper. So I'm proud to say we are 100% Atmanirbhar right now. All our products are made in India from the raw material, which is also sourced from India. So Tushions has been through a long journey, and as I told you, this Women's Day we have also launched Suki, a range of women hygiene products, again, a reusable hygiene products for women. And we're currently working with NGOs to work to, especially for the government schools, kids studying in government schools and around the
Great.
10th standard, and trying to give them these sanitary napkins at a subsidized cost.
Okay, wonderful. Sounds great. Now, Jyotsna, your journey is different. You've come into an established company, and it's you don't have the responsibility of starting off yourselves, but the challenge of coming into an established company, a legacy company of sorts, and a market leader in a certain field as well. It would be a different sort of a challenge because you came in from a different educational background, studied abroad, even worked abroad, and then change of industries and everything. And you might have had to deal with the perception of some people who say, okay, ये तो कंपनी में ही है, मालिक की बेटी हैं, आगे हैं, तो इनको सलाम करना पड़ेगा.
Right. Kind of, yes. I would say that I did go through that. But especially if you're a daughter of someone who is not taken a leave in the last 30 years and not gone on a holiday, it's a complete different kind of pressure. I still remember the first day at work. I had one of the employees tell me, so are you not going to take a leave for the next 30 years? And I was like, okay, I have some difficult and big shoes to fill into. And coming from the US, working there, the work culture was different. It's been completely different. And it was not until I established my credibility within the organization was the mindset changed. I've had employees that have been in the organization longer than I have, and it was hard for me to fit in the beginning, but I started doing and in the work life, I started doing what they do. So like going to the market, talking to the retailers, getting my feet outside, and that's when they realize that I can do what they can do as well. So it's not that I've just been a second gen and given everything on a platter. Trust me, I have gone through the job life where I was paid the salary and now I have to pay the salary. So it's definitely a huge difference, not only just work way, but mentally, physically, emotionally. It's been an up and down journey for me. And finally getting accepted here feels completely different as well, and it's been nice learning experience, I'd say.
Great, wonderful. That sounds great. But there you have it, a different set of burden of expectations. Preeti, if you look at the two women that we've just heard from, and that in a way is the story of women in industry in India Inc., or if you narrow it down, in the startup ecosystem as well, which is why we have perhaps Niti Aayog with its WEP, a whole program which I believe is benefiting a lot of women now.
Yes, that is correct. And Jaya and Jyotsna, very inspirational stories, and I'm so glad to have known this information via Didi. But the flagship program that Niti Aayog has here, it's called Women Entrepreneurship Platform. It was initially launched in 2017 to address the information asymmetry we have across the ecosystem. Having to start a company by itself, it is challenging for anyone who's coming in new, regardless of the gender. But for women especially, the barriers to entry are extremely high, as Jyotsna correctly pointed out. There are perceptions, there are biases, and there are additional factors like you have to prove yourself before you're even allowed to have access to capital or access to information itself. So the platform is trying to address all of this by trying to work around a model of role models. And for women specifically, it works immensely well. If you know a woman has defied different problems and different issues across society and achieved something, it gives a moral boost to other women. So the platform tries to bring together mentors and women who are looking to establish their own business and also connect them with VCs. So it's like an aggregator platform, brings together all of these people creates an ecosystem and helps women. So right now, as of today, we have more than 18,000 plus women registered on the platform.
Wow.
And more than 200 startups and ideas. So we start right from the ideation, and sometimes we help them grow through the entire process. We're not just helping them become together on an aggregator platform, we're also helping acknowledge the efforts that they've put in. So every year, the platform itself has these WTI awards. Where women are honored for the work that they are doing towards the community. So that in itself also recognizes exceptional women. I'm sure, Jaya, you should also apply. Exceptional women who are doing exceptional work towards the society and help society at large, understand the challenges they've gone through to achieve that status.
Great, sounds great. Jaya, just tell me the kind of product that you started your company off with. The perception is that it's about babies, so normally and naturally it's women oriented, although it's parenthood oriented, and that includes men as well. But that perception, did that help you establish your business in some ways, or did it not help, it hampered?
It actually helped me because in India, as you said, right, both the mother and father are parents, but in 90% of the cases, primary caregiver is still the mother. So it actually helped us because, especially as a mother, I was able to understand the requirements of a mother of the baby. And as most of our decision makers, even the purchasers, were all women, so we were able to communicate them, right? So I remember when I initially started Tushions, the busiest time for me for customer support, because obviously when I started, I was the only person there. So customer support was 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the night. And
Okay.
that was because most of the moms, it's like you put the baby to sleep and that's the time that you have to yourself.
That's the free time that they had.
So yes, and in one way it was good because that was the free time I had and that was the free time they had. So it was much more easier to communicate with them at that time.
Okay, wonderful. So that's good to know. Not really good in terms of the work hours that you have to keep, but still good to know that you could help out your customers because of the kind of alignment that you had with them yourselves. But Jyotsna, just tell me, in terms of your experience, now you've come into a company as a second generation person and with a very different set of experiences from abroad. So how did you, get into the job, handling that entire burden of expectations as well of, being who you are?
I think the best part about, getting into the business was that my father and my uncle both gave me a free hand. They kind of, were a little open-minded because coming from abroad, we could bring in changes to the table and make an impact that they probably had not yet experienced or had exposure to. So that was one of the best things that we got when we joined the business was like, for me, it was the Cisca accessories vertical. And, my both of them were very supportive and were like, well, this is your vertical. So you are answerable from 0 to 100, no matter what is going on. And of course, it comes with a set of burden of expectations. But when I worked abroad, the difference was that, like I said, the gender gap, the biases, the preconceived notions that already exist here. It's not that it didn't exist there. It was there as well. Since I worked with Microsoft, I was the only girl on my team. I was the youngest. And coming back here, I actually, faced almost a similar situation where, I was in the sales department. I was primarily the only girl and also the youngest. But it was keeping an open mind, working on different processes and, strategizing in a way where your team and you meet halfway. It's one thing where I always say that, you can change the world, but you have to start with yourself. So
Right.
meeting my team halfway was one of the key ways I actually, started, developing a relationship with them and doing the team building that was needed. So they had a certain set of expectations from me, and so did I. So when you meet halfway, it kind of clears the air and puts you in a motivational environment where each of you are doing your daily activities to make yourself better. So I look, working with my team and making sure that we rotate roles so that everyone understands each other's role very well. And say today I am ill, I have someone else who can play my part and fill in for me as well, because he's been, trained bi-weekly to switch his tasks. And getting such kind of activities in, or doing, mentorship meetings on, bi-weekly basis within my team rather than with myself, so that they, kind of have this respect that I don't work more than you and we both have the equal pressure that we have to get work done. That kind of created a environment of respect and made life easier for me. So it was more about not just, telling people to do their tasks, but also walking alongside with them while they're completing those tasks. And that kind of leadership has definitely worked well for me in the organization. It's helped me grow myself, because feedback is a gift. So when you get feedback from a team of almost 1,800 people, be it about your products, or be it about how we can get better processes, I think you can grow, like you can climb the success ladder.
And has your gender also played a role there?
Definitely, it has. If you look at India from a gender diversity perspective, we've been struggling to get a good number of women workforce. And if you look at any kind of reports, starting from Companies Act 2013, and you see that getting a director on board was compulsory, one female director, we're still not even halfway there. If you look at the top 500 companies, we were 27.8% in. Yeah. 303 firms still didn't have women directors. So there's like I said, mindset. There's a mindset and preconceived notion
that's why the debate about between compliance and culture as to whether should it be just about compliance, or do you need to change the culture altogether? And that's why, Preeti, I guess Niti Aayog is coming in with the WEP as well. It's not just about knowledge and information. It's about also telling women and counseling them in terms of the kind of challenges that they might encounter in performing their roles in their enterprises, and how to get past them. Telling them some of those key ingredients that will make the recipe of a successful venture.
That is correct. So we do have a mentor-mentee program also, where women are able to reach out to other women and try to understand the challenges that they had faced when they were trying to start up. And especially, like I talked before, the whole concept of having role models is really important as far as driving innovation is concerned. A lot of women, especially if they do not have a technology background, feel intimidated by the entire spectrum of how can I build a business if I do not understand technology? Because it is such a big component of selling your products as of today, that a lot of women don't even think of selling anything. It could be a very female-oriented product that only I think females should be building for other females, not men. But they still step back and don't take that leap because they think that they do not have the required skill set. So in that sense, the entire change in women themselves, allowing them to have that confidence in themselves and helping them take that first step, that in itself is important. And then there is also element of trying to help their families understand that they have to be the support system. So via these mentors would help the other new incoming mentees understand that there is a role that their family also has to play as far as letting these women get out and work in this space, which is very demanding of time. Like Jaya rightly pointed out, like the only time you have free, you're trying to like push it towards the venture that you're trying to build. If you do not have a back end supporting system, a family system, you will probably not get there. So that slow behavioral nudge is really important. And we kind of try to focus on that in all the training modules that WTI. So we have partner organizations also, where most of these partner organizations also try to do the same thing, trying to build an ecosystem around these women So they have the perfect environment that we can at least facilitate as far as India is concerned.
So you bring in families as well, spouses and children as and when required?
We do not, but there are partner organizations that have those programs which
Okay.
facilitate these women's families, because we directly do not, and that would be government influencing families. We do not want to get into that domain. So partner organizations do that for us. And
Okay.
sometimes, because these women are connecting with each other, they also have the liberty to ask questions that, and I'm sure this is the first question in every woman's mind. How do I convince my family? Especially the tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 segment of women that we help connect, especially
Yes.
on WEB. For them, this is such a big barrier to entry. It is sometimes mind-boggling for us also to navigate. But then we try to connect them with, and of course, the platform has a lot of information around that.
Okay, that sounds great. But one way, I guess, is to talk about the bottom line, how that helps the entire family's income. That is a big incentive in the first place, but sometimes even that does not convince people. Jaya, just some of the challenges that were mentioned by Preeti here. Did you encounter any of them in the course of your journey with your startup Tushions, and how did you overcome them if you did encounter?
Actually, I did. When Preeti was talking about the support of family is really important, right? Especially when you have a young kid and you have to go out of the house to go and work. Even if it's a startup, you have an office, you have to go there, you have to meet with the suppliers, you have to meet with the customers, you have to meet with your manufacturing team. And you have, basically, as a startup, when I started, I had to set up every single thing from scratch. So family support is extremely important. In my case, I'm really thankful and lucky to have such a supportive family. In fact, my mother-in-law was the first one. She was the one who no, why don't you just go ahead and get that started? I was a little hesitant, how will I be able to manage? But she was like, no, go ahead. So my entire family was quite supportive. And even when you're starting a company, about the funding and stuff. So I started with a very small funding of just rupees 30,000. We just started that because I was like, okay, that's a risk that I'm willing to take. The other big confidence that I had is that I was not, my husband was like, you go ahead and he in fact said that you fulfill my dreams as well of being an entrepreneur.
Good for you and good for him.
Yes, so it was quite nice. I got the family support, which is quite important, both financially as well as the very fact that there is somebody to take care of things at home, to take care of my kids. Even if there is a nanny, somebody has to monitor. So those things, the family. I believe that for women to start up, more than anything else, even more than funds, is the family support, which is important.
Okay. But funds can be an issue as well. But Jyotsna, let's talk about how there is also this talk of unconscious bias. And it's also said that even women, when they get into those decision-making positions, can sometimes have an unconscious bias against women themselves, hiring them and then giving them responsibilities, owner response at that. Is that something that you have observed here or when you were abroad? And how is it possible to get past it if that is the case?
So, it has been there abroad and it is here as well. However, I think more than, the unconscious bias that we have to target is what we have to see is no more women don't become victims. What we've started was that we say that there's gender bias and we say that we need gender equality, but I more than anything I think we need gender equity. What I mean by equity is that can a woman do the same task as a man, and can she do it better? Or what situation is the man and the woman both working under right now that they're not able to do their responsibility? And this is not pertaining only to women or pertaining to men. I think both in today's world, both of the genders are going through unconscious bias and are also in some areas facing gender diversity. Because if you say if it's a woman startup, I have so many of my friends, we discuss this because we're like, okay, we go all out about women entrepreneurs and getting more women on leadership roles, but then you are exactly following the same path. Why don't you have a man on board? Like maybe he can give you a better perspective than a woman can, because you guys will have the similar thoughts and a man can add a different opinion. right? So I think more than the unconscious bias, it's just our thought process that we've made women a victim more so than anything. And I don't say it in a bad way, but I think that gender bias exists. Yes, we have to accept it, and now we have to take the steps to move out from those stereotypes.
Certainly, I mean, it will help everyone if everybody has a bit of an open mind, a little more than people already have. The other perception is, and that perception is true to quite an extent, Preeti. And I was wondering what Niti Aayog is doing about that. Is that women have trouble raising money, and women who want to get into investment, into VCs, the performance as a country, as an ecosystem here, has been pretty disappointing and dismal. So is that something also being addressed by Niti Aayog and by the government?
Certainly. So, like when I was talking about the entire ecosystem that surrounds a startup in general, we have to. There's no way you can isolate funding out of it. Like that is the key piece of it. So the ecosystem that WEP tries to build is there is funding and financial assistance element that you need as far as launching is concerned, or even for initial prototyping. So the platform by itself does not provide the fund, but then as I said, we have partner organizations on the platform that are looking to invest in women entrepreneurs. So more often than not, we get requests from VCs who want to invest in diverse businesses and want to reach out to women across the country in tier 2, tier 3, or maybe 4 cities who are not able to access capital because of again, information is asymmetry. So most of the time we are connecting them to the platform. And if you think about it, it's a very small thing, being an aggregator, helping connect people, but then the impact it eventually has is that suddenly this entire avenue of partners who are looking to invest but do not know where to go are able to invest in these women who do not know where to go for finding investment. So by itself, just by the nature of the platform, that we are not trying to interfere in the process. We are just helping them connect. That by itself facilitates so much. A lot of women have gotten funding through it. Omidia, Will Grow Foundation, some big other healthcare foundations also have invested in a lot of companies that came through WEP. So that is, of course, one bit of it. But then if you separate this platform and then think about the initiatives that Government of India has a lot of schemes that are going on that support Indian women and entrepreneurs towards them. In fact, whenever we are talking about information that these women need, we do point them towards that, all of that information that is available out there. As far as schemes are concerned, there is Mahila Udyam Nidhi, Annapurna, Stree Shakti package, and then specific banks have all of those schemes.
Yes, certainly a lot of effort is being made in that direction, and it is commendable what you all are doing because it's not just about saying more power to women. It's about empowering women to empower ourselves as a country as well, and I hope that we make rapid progress in that direction. We've come a certain way, but still a long way to go. I'm afraid we're completely out of time, so I'll have to thank you all at this point for joining me for today. And let's hope that when we meet again, perhaps sometime later, we have much better things to talk about where empowering women and gender parity is concerned. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
खुशी है मुझे कि मेरे योगदान से मैं और मेरा देश